Good afternoon. It's 5 o'clock. Town of LaPointe Public Hearing Zoning Rewrite. 5 p.m. September 3rd, 2025 at Town Hall. Thank you for coming. Your TPC has been working on the zoning rewrite to better align with our current comprehensive plan. This is a work in progress as we continue to work on this rewrite. Please state your name when called upon, and please limit your statement to less than 5 minutes so everyone can be heard. Call to order, roll call.
Earl Brum.
Jim Peters.
Joan Socha.
Paul Wilhelm. We're gonna read letters into the record first. And we have a letter from Alex Hecker. And maybe we'll defer this because he was supposed to zoom in. Yeah, I don't see him.
No.
No. So I think I'll make a motion that we move number 2 to number 3 and number 3 to number 2.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Public discussion, comments on draft zoning ordinance? Any comments? Raise your hand, please. Paul.
Letter it's about 6 pages, but it's handwritten, right fit. So hopefully you have it in 5 minutes. Otherwise, I'll be like Paul Wilson, he ran for Senate. Dear commissioners. Here we represent. Dear commissioners, few thoughts on the following changes of the town's proposed zoning ordinance rewrite. 1, under definitions, campgrounds. Keep the current definition of more than 1 camping unit, not 2. 2, under definitions, commercial entertainment facility. I would think the new WOW business would fall under this new definition. 3, under definitions, dwelling accessory. Add that garage shop space is included in the calculation for an accessory dwelling. Otherwise, the owner of a 4,000 square foot home could build a 5,000 square foot accessory dwelling, claim 1,000 square feet as a dwelling, 4,000 square feet as a garage for permitting purposes, yet suddenly change plans during construction to make it all a dwelling. Talk about double density. Your definitions, campground, came up with this definition. Isn't or shouldn't it be the same as a campground? The same thing goes for a glamping unit. Page 23, permitted and conditional uses in W2. Please remove boarding houses, because 8 persons is just too many. Dormitory and educational facility commercial from either permitted or conditional uses in the W2 zone. This is a low density zone, not a commercial zone, at least not yet. 6, on page 36, remove the mixed use zone altogether from the new ordinance. It is essentially a commercial zone and will be abused by developers who are savvy at both circumventing zoning and at bamboozling the town board. This will become a high density area. The city of Duluth allows businesses in their mixed use zone that serves that neighborhood, such as a small hardware store, not a Menards or a Home Depot, a family restaurant, not Texas Roadhouse or Applebee's, and certainly not an art school that draws students from across the universe, but hardly has any attendees from the town, much less from Middle Road. If the town board, both past and present, are so zoning illiterate as to allow a C1 use in a W2 zone, what are the odds that they will allow a C1 use in a mixed use zone? If you're hell bent on creating a mixed use zone, at least require that all business owners / investors must reside on the same lot parcel as the business. Under 4.3D, keep temporary camping units to 1 party, not 2. Under 4.3D, keep long-term camping units to 1, not 2. Also, do not allow long-term camping units to be rented out. And keep the language, no accessory dwelling currently exists on the property as a limitation. Under 4.6, private ponds, keep number 4 as a requirement, namely, quote, it is surrounded by land privately owned by the same person, end quote. If not, is it wise to allow a pond to be dug right next to a property line? Under signs, section 5, pages 62 to 67. Is it a good idea to allow future signs in the right of way? Furthermore, keep class E and F signs in the ordinance, effectively banning off-premise directionary signs. By not specifically banning off-premise signs, which I can see certain TPC members interpreting the ordinance as being allowed or at least looking the other way, you will be going against the comprehensive plan. Please reread the intro to signs on page 62 of the zoning ordinance to see why off-premise signs shouldn't be allowed. Under junk salvage yards, 6(1)D, page 68. How are you going to enforce this? If you can't enforce the low-hanging fruit, such as off-premise directionary signs, how are you going to enforce junk and salvage yard requirements? 12, under accessory dwellings, keep the size limitations as is, namely 65% of the primary dwelling or 1,500 square feet, whichever is less. It's a simple math and was inserted to avoid the double density I was talking about earlier. 13, in section 6(4), home occupation and home business. Keep home occupation to only allow those living at the home to work there. Limit the area to 25% of the dwelling. And limit the home business to 25% of the principal dwelling as it is now. Nearly all home occupations / home businesses are in the low density or residential zones and could remain so zoned. Otherwise, make the entire island C1 commercial residential. Sit back and watch what happens. Under section 7, conditional uses. Change the ordinance to have the TPC decide the CUP, appealable to the BOA, then circuit court, as does 99.9% of the other municipalities in the state do, instead of the town board being the deciding body with appeal only to circuit court. If not, then have the town board do it all, including holding the public hearing, because right now it isn't working. Instead of listening to recommendations from the TPC and input from concerned neighbors, the town board is and has been easily swayed by special interests in real estate developers and speculators. Two final thoughts. 1, put a limit on the size and number of buildings and commercial enterprises outside the C1 zone, including the mixed use zone if it goes through, to avoid another craptivity, aka the School of the Arts. This is the largest commercial development on the island. Have permits to get even larger, and it's all located in a low density W2 zone. I've been saying this for over 14 years and no one has ever refuted me, nor can they, because I'm using a new thing out there. It's called math. Second, to rewrite the entire zoning ordinance by 3 people and hold only 1 public hearing is very Trumpian. Sure, President Donald will be very proud of me. Instead of claiming that since there isn't a quorum, 2 TPC members and the zoning administrator, that you don't have to post meetings or even allow the public to attend, you should instead be open and allow such workshops when the public could attend. At the very least, don't present a 125-page document at a single public hearing. Instead, break it up over 4 or 5 public hearings, each one dealing with a separate section of this ordinance rewrite. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Paul. Next. Anyone else? John, Charles.
This is on page 46 of the Conservancy District. This is what it says. The district is intended to protect and conserve important environmental resources by limiting further development. If you look at the permanent uses, you can do a driveway, road access, recreational trail, land disturbing, forest crop products, and agriculture. In the conditional use, you can do the parking lot, public utilities, public service utility, a wind generator, communication, radio, power, solar collector, and all this stuff. This is in the zone we're trying to protect. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And then also there is the sexually orientated business. Adult sauna. What do you guys consider adult? A nude sauna? Health and sports club. Is that the golf club? LA Fitness. I think you guys need to spell out more of what you're talking about here. And my third thing is, if you guys do all these changes and stuff, who is going to enforce it? Because it hasn't been enforced before. members of the TPC have told public members, wait and see what happens. And then the people have to come back and get their stuff fixed at their own expense. And the TPC members still get reappointed by the town board, which is ridiculous.
Thank you, John. Anyone else?
Can we speak from Zoom?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone, this is Alex Hecker. And sorry, I joined a minute late. Did my letter that I submitted get read into the record?
It hasn't. We moved it to after comment. So
Okay.
please read your letter and or comment.
Well, yeah, if it could just be read into record, and I don't have it right in front of me, but to the first gentleman's point was, I hope this isn't the first and final hearing for a zoning change with, 7,000 different changes being proposed with, just public input like we're having it now. I mean, we need a process, technical advisory committee, et cetera, et cetera. And am I in this position right now to ask questions of the planning commission, or is it just me talking to you?
Just comments.
Okay. All right. Well, that would be my comment. What is the process? And could we get set up okay. Another question is, what is the process? What is the impetus of the zoning change? It wasn't that long ago that we had a new ordinance adopted. And then there's follow-up questions to that. But when my letter gets read into public record, they'll cover all the points that I have issues with, some of the people have already covered. But it just seems like we need to take a step back here. And I might be wrong, and then maybe there is a process. I just hadn't heard about it. I just found out about this a couple of weeks ago. But let's take a step back, get all the good minds together, line this up with our comprehensive plan, get a technical advisory committee together, and then come up with a sensible zoning ordinance that, in my mind, this one really favors a lot of density and is going to drive a lot of development. I don't think that we're all, at least the folks that are signed my letter, are behind. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
And you don't have a copy of your letter to read into the record, because historically that's what we've asked for, but I can read it in, but it looks like it's several pages, and it was kind of added to it. Is it okay if I just read your September 2nd, your latest letter, into the record?
That'd be terrific. And I apologize. I just left the meeting and I'm driving right now, so I can't read it into the record.
Okay. I'll read your September 2nd one, which is your latest letter, which has all the bullet points. And it states, as residents and stakeholders of La Pointe, we are writing to share our concerns regarding the August 2025 draft zoning ordinance. We respectfully request that the commission revise the draft to ensure it protects the island's historic, small-scale character, safeguards environmental resources, and recognizes the limitations of Madeline Island's infrastructure. Our principal concerns include prohibiting multifamily housing outside the C1 Town Center District, limiting ADUs to parcels of 2+ acres with conditional review, eliminating density bonuses for clustered/PUD developments, prohibiting dwellings in designated wilderness areas, clarifying overlay procedures, precedents to protect shoreland and wetlands, requiring 1 acre minimum lots and maintaining a 35-foot height cap, restricting STRs to C1 and MU-1 with consistent definitions, preventing commercial encroachment into residential neighborhoods, weakening R1 zoning from the term low density instead of single family. Attached is a detailed memorandum explaining on these issues, including how increased density would strain the island's limited ferry service, utilities, septic systems, and emergency services. We urge the commission not to advance the ordinance in its current form and instead provide additional review and public input to ensure LaPointe's comprehensive plan priorities, preservation, conservation, and scale are upheld. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Alex Hecker. Thank you. Anybody else? Hey, Connie, did you wish to speak? Yes.
My
Yeah.
concern is that your infrastructure,
Your name, sir?
Mark, Ansesky. Spell
Go ahead.
it. My concern is that the infrastructure is limited here. You have a power line that's just one cable under the water. And you can love the place to death. There are squishy areas in this that would allow for, I think, considerable development under the table, and then you're up to all the. And I don't think the place can absorb that number of people with all the sewage, water, electricity, fuel, and variable. It's a recipe for too much.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes.
I just have a comment for those people that might be watching this that couldn't come here tonight. If you're watching it on YouTube, the closed caption works, and that way you can hear the comments.
Thank you. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? We're adjourned. Thank you for coming. It's time to run over. What, we play a game of croquet? No, all. It's over here, one, camper. You brought time on that. Find stuff in the time. I don't have an agenda for our next meeting. It does say 6 p.m. immediately following public hearing. Yes. Well, that's what someone said, hey, I came up at 6 o'clock and you got there. Oh, yeah, I'm fine with that. Just trying to play back to back. Yeah, I have a copy of this. I never got a copy of that. Or can I get a copy of these? Did you get a copy of that? Yes. No, for the. Can you go to your box? Yeah. I think somebody stole it. I got the minutes. Okay, but I don't have the agenda. Well, you're not a working copy machine? Public hearing. Yeah, I'll figure it out. He's probably got a spare on the table. Okay. Some of the stuff that was quoted, we didn't even change. It was just there. Okay, old sauna. Just changing, upgrading the definition.
Did Rich go back to Wisconsin?
What?
Did Rich go back to Wisconsin?
Oh, he's right over here.
Wait till 6.
You know, we can go early because if we've got a little pause in here immediately following.
You know, I think we've got the whole town here, please. No, and I don't know if it's just, but. Funny to the line. I don't know. Way back more comments, but. I'm starting to wonder if there hasn't been enough time for people to digest everything. Just an initial thought. I'm just thinking out loud, I'm not saying anything to anybody. Yeah, because I can't keep my inside voice. It's like, Dave, you don't show up. I know he's on. Yeah, there's stuff like that.
We're starting to get. Our figuring out how rich it
You can wait.
Which comes back in with. Because we're.
Hey, excuse me, Paul.
Yeah, I didn't know it. It's like.
Yeah, what, two public hearings with the rental rewrite.
All of the sound runs every change.
Did I do okay?
I could run it. All right, I didn't know.
Oh, I don't either.
That's my take.
Charlie, I agree.
I mean, it's rumored out there from March 30th, the whole island's gonna be full of apartment complexes. And condominium.
Skies.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be that bad.
Even if we allowed it, it's not economically feasible for anybody to come here and do it.
Wonderful. Nice.
So anyway, good job. You sticking around?
Well, at the September 10th. Yeah.
What a restaurant. Nice. Oh, restaurant. Oh, I thought you said restaurant.
Yeah, restaurant. Said I agree with it.
Yeah, but it's not like Paul's letter. It's simply quoted.
Yeah.
Because people.
Yeah.
I don't. I want to study Paul Brummer's.
I get a copy and give a little bit more.
Rick will make copies of that.
Up and down.
Yeah.
I agree with some of it.
You get Rich in here and get the show on the road.
Well, like we did a comprehensive plan when we had Norton College on that.
Yeah.
As facilitator, they had over at school and you go from table to table, that's where you hear. And we went from table to table, and had. We are. Oh, really, it's not saying there's anything else. The other, I know Sam and I was fixed, kept flooding here, so it was kind of. And this is the one guy. A professor of land use stuff. And you could tell right away. And so, let's just get the work done. Yes, but you could tell. Yeah, so anyway, but the gal was really good over there. But they had, it's over there. They would try and explain, because it was like 8 elements that had land, just why we're doing this. And then everything from health and all this other stuff, economic stuff. And so intergovernmental cooperation, there's like agriculture, there's like 8 or 9 elements in a conversation. But that's the same way throughout the state. Not just here, but say the pure Wisconsin, it's the same standards for everybody, whether you're a city of like Milwaukee, 670,000 people, or La Pointe, Wisconsin, before, you had to do the same elements. And that was the, your basic, kind of a diagram to follow or whatever, and then after that, maybe something like that. I'm after this. I think people should have a longer chance to get this. This is the next.
He's photocopying Paul Brummer's stuff.
Oh, that's gonna take a while. Want to sit here, I'll come over. Okay. Then you're not, then you can. I'm not looking back to the camera. Yeah. Is this yours? Yeah, but you can sit on it. Not gonna hurt it.
We'll just wait till 5:30. Couple minutes.
Yeah.
Attention, please. At 5:30, we're gonna have another meeting, a special plan commission meeting. We are not gonna talk about the public hearing. We will talk about the public hearing, and anybody's welcome to attend on September 10th at 4:30. This meeting is a special plan commission meeting to approve some building permits. And we'll start it at 5:30. Which was a half hour earlier than I thought it might start.
Well, everybody knows what.
Everyone sign in or?
You like that comment?
I think so.
It's good for people to know that. Sit around and be disappointed.
Yeah, I think we need to have this document out there.
Maybe at the September 10th meeting.
Happy you did the highlights and crossouts of people. Changes are,
They have
I don't know if there's 7.
public comments, less than 1 minute Bollywood.
Yeah, there's
Questions.
yes,
No, not on the public hearing. I don't think it is.
beneficial for.
Well, it is
We have it.
1 minute.
Yeah,
Put that in.
at their monthly meeting.
And thinking.
Yeah.
On the public hearing.
That would have.
Oh, no. Okay, you're right. But if the young people have something to say,
Because it's 150.
next time they have 1 minute. Say-
Okay, it's 5:30. Town will appoint special planning and zoning town plan commission. 6 PM or immediately following the public hearing, September 3rd, 2025. Call to order, roll call.
Carl Bremer.
Jim Peters.
Ron Socek.
Paul Wilharm, and by Zoom.
David Aylen.
Public comment, less than 1 minute. Paul.
Point of order, and this is kind of like closing the barn doors after the first of what, did you read, any letters that the town received, the TPC received regarding any changes into the record at the last public hearing? Just throwing it out there, maybe for future reference, instead of trying to adjourn it right away. Read all the letters you received, and hopefully if someone isn't driving, they can do it, but if they're not here, please read them in so everyone else in the audience can know what the heck someone else might think.
Yeah,
I thought you did this.
we should have.
Yeah, we just had the one letter.
I think we just had the one letter.
Well,
Yeah, but it had
I
several.
know her dates, no.
Well, Paul wrote, you read it. I'm not gonna, it's public comment. You read it.
Approval of previous minutes, TPC meeting 8/6/2025. Anybody see anything?
I didn't see anything.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular monthly meeting of Wednesday, August 6th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Old business, review and possible approval of land use applications. The first one, 1632 North Shore Road.
So everyone should have a copy of that in your packet.
Mhm.
Up at the top, it says Right Living Trust.
Mhm.
Long story short, I'm recommending this for approval. The application and the fees have been submitted. The site has been staked, measured, and meets all setback requirements. This would also include an Ashland County permit because it's within 1,000 feet of the lake. The sanitary permit, was originally issued in September of 23. The holding tank was installed in 2024. There's no wetlands. It's not a non-conforming lot. And the UDC process has started with the inspector. Second page shows on setbacks. The only note that I am making on the placard is the garage is shown at 50 feet of setback from the west side. I've talked with the builder about that. It's very close to the 50, so we've had a conversation, and we'll make sure that that's at least 50. I met with the general contractor in July. Final paperwork was submitted to us August 13th. There is a steep slope down to the water, but the ordinary high water line is shown on the drawings and is greater than 70 feet. I performed 2 site visits on this one. The first one, they didn't have everything staked out, but on August 11th and then August 25th, the property was professionally surveyed and boundaries marked. Like we talked about with the garage, in an email on August 21st, I reminded the developer about the setback, and I've noted it on the placard as well. No wetlands for the proposed dwelling or garage location. Bottom of page 3 is just a photo being staked off. Same thing on page 4, the electric is already into the site. And then just page 5 is just documentation that there are no wetlands. So everything is in order. I'm comfortable with it being approved.
Is that just a parking area there, Rich?
No, that's the garage, actually.
Oh, that's the garage?
Yes,
And that needs setbacks.
yes.
Okay.
It's at 50 and it becomes difficult with a wheel, and even when you're using a measuring tape. So it's been surveyed out at 50 and it's just a reminder through an email, and then as part of the placard and I think that covers us.
I have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve 1632, the land use permit for 1632 North Shore Road. Right Living Trust
Second.
as submitted.
You got a first and a second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
The second one, 987 Stone Point Lane.
Yes, so this is Jack and Nicole Jones. Like I said, 987 Stone Point Lane. It's for a dwelling addition and an accessory building. So basically an addition to the house and a new garage. Application and fees were submitted and are accurate. Site has been staked and measured and meets all setback requirements. This also is within 1,000 feet of the shoreline, so an Ashland County permit is required. Sanitary permit is already there. This is just an addition to the house. No wetlands in the area. It's not a non-conforming lot, and the UDC permit process is also started. On page 2, I've included just a diagram, a sketch of the proposed addition. It's on the back of the house. It's a new construction. It's 114 feet from one property line, 84 feet from the other. From the lake, the existing deck, and this is behind it. So the existing deck is more than 75 feet. So this is beyond 75 feet. And then it's 400 feet from the driveway in. I met with the contractor on August 19th. We discussed it, what forms would need to be submitted. The final paperwork, including the check to the point, was provided on August 28th. We've already talked about the high water line. I also did a site visit on August 20th, and the proposed construction area was staked off. There are no wetlands at that proposed site. On page 3 are 2 photos, one of where the addition to the home is going to be, and then the one below that is the staked off area for the garage site. And again, like I said, no wetlands. This one's also ready to go, and I recommend approval.
Which on here?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's this one.
It's that one.
Yeah.
Say, Rich,
Yes.
does the garage have living quarters in it?
No.
No. So no septic connected to the garage or anything like that?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you. And it's detached, the garage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do I have a motion?
To approve the Jack and Nicole Jones land use permit for 987 Stone Point Lane.
A second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I
The third one here today, 2008 North Shore Road.
Yes. So this is Steve and Michelle Gerard. And this is for a dwelling. It's the construction of a log home kit. Application filled out completely and accurately. The application was signed and fees paid. The site is mostly staked out. I measured and it does meet all setback requirements. There were a couple of stakes missing, but where it's located on the property, it's not in question as far as the setbacks. This one also is within 1,000 feet of the lake shore, so an Ashland County permit is required. So the sanitary permit on this is a sanitary, there's a structure that already exists there. This is going to be a sanitary reconnect. The original sanitary holding tank was approved April 16th of 2003. I've been coordinating with the county on this as well, just to make sure that everything is in place. The sanitary, so the holding tank and the well were inspected July 21st of 2025. There were a couple of very minor issues. One, the alarm float was taking on water in the holding tank, and they're going to replace that before the reconnect. And the well had a couple of exposed wires that need to be covered, and they're doing that as well. So sanitary permit, no concerns there. There's no wetlands. It's not a non-conforming lot. On the UDC coordination, this is one that started with the previous inspector and is going to continue being part of the process.
Rich, on the sanitary inspection, who did that?
It was a licensed plumber. I'd have to look back.
Okay, that's all.
But it was a licensed plumber, and I actually have a copy of the letter.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep. And I have a weekly call with Ashland County with the zone office. And that's where we talk about these things. We talk about them in advance. They know when our TPC meetings are. And I tell them in advance on addresses and fire stop numbers, and we work together to make sure that from a sanitary permit and a well permit that the county is aware.
Sounds good.
On page 2, I always like to include kind of a picture of what they're building, and this is a log home kit, kind of cool. On page 3 is a diagram of a construction site, and where it is in relationship to Lake Superior. On the right side or east side of the lot, they've got 98 feet of setback. On the west side of the lot, 150 feet. And they're 230 feet from the lake shore and 500 feet from the road. So if you look at top of page 4, this is this is one where I met with contractor July 16th. We did a site visit on July 16th and it started to rain, so that was cut short. I went back again on July 23rd and then again on August 27th. And we worked through those issues, including the holding tank. I wanted to make sure they were in good shape. And like I said, those were inspected July 28th. There are no wetlands. So at the top of the picture, when I say it's mostly staked out, you'll see on the very top picture 2 stakes on the right-hand side, but nothing on the left. That side has 150 feet of setback, and it's going to be on the sand lift. So I really built that up, didn't they? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. So I have no concerns with setback on this. Because the sand lift is quite a ways. The property line is actually on the other side of those trees. And then the bottom picture, again, is just of that sand lift looking the other way. So you still see the two stakes. So everything is in order. No wetlands. So I recommend approval of this as well.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Steve and Michelle Jared property at 2008 North Shore Road for a dwelling.
Oh, a second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our fourth one, 1045 Sunny Slope Road.
Okay, so I did prepare, it's actually a 5-page summary on this, and a lot of this occurred before I worked for the town. So a little bit of a history lesson for me, I think, in this write-up, as well as trying to lay out all facts based on what I saw in the files and what I saw in emails. I was not here for this, so it's very possible I was missing things. But we've got a resident property owner that had a building that had a couple of bedrooms and a bathroom and a garage that was constructed in 1904. And our zoning ordinance really wasn't passed until 1987. So was it 72? Oh, thanks for the correction on that.
You got the right one.
Is that okay? All right, I'll take that. I'll take that. So about 68 years before we had a zoning ordinance. And it was built pretty close to the road, to Sunny Slope Road. I did an aerial photo search going through Wisconsin's Historical Society all the way back to the 30s, just trying to find an aerial that I could see that original structure. And I really couldn't. because most of those photos were taken full leaf on.
Full foliage.
Yep. So there is a picture at the bottom that there's a little bit of a brown triangle, and that's part of that building. So
Kind of ran with that property line between that property
And then-
yeah.
yes. Yep. And it was close to the road. How close? I don't fully.
Pretty close.
So starting on page 2, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this to get to the options, but again, I went through a review of existing files that I was able to find, emails. And my understanding was the property owner had met with the town in July, and they'd hired an architect about the same time, based on the understanding in conversations with the town that they would be okay to rebuild it in that location, but in a larger format and further from the road. Fast forward to November and beginning of December, it was submitted to the town for review. And it was during that, what I found during those discussions, that the property may have been incorrectly determined to be R2 when it should have been R1. And at the bottom of page 2, I cut and pasted the different setbacks. And where that impacts is R2 has a requirement of 10 feet on the side. But R1, which is what it should have been, was 30 feet. So that building was within within the setback, the proposed building. Now, it also changes the setback from the road. R2 has a 30-foot setback. R1 is 40 feet. So from what I found, it still looks like from the road that the front of that building was still in that setback. So it was non-compliant. So let's fast forward. And again, I don't have all of the facts. It's just based on emails and things I found in the files. Let's fast forward to kind of where we're at today. Property owner reached out to me on August 11th, and I went out there and met with him. And he's wanting to do the right thing. He's wanting to make sure that he's complying with our requirements. So we went back and forth for about a week or so. I had additional questions. I wanted some more history on the building and what was being proposed. We met, near August 25th. And so the property owner is planning a building that is larger than what was originally there. And that's by a factor of about 20%. So our zoning allows for, if you have a building that's non-conforming that has to be taken down, you can replace that building the same footprint on the same site. So, but what this property owner is doing that I like is proposing to move it further from the roadway, which is increasing safety. It's visibility is being improved. If a snowplow goes by, there's less chance of it being damaged because it was pretty close to the road.
Can I interject?
Yes, please.
You said the old building was 28 by 39. Was there anything that you could find in the records that it was measured by anybody? Maybe the tax assessor at one point? Because I know we did a revaluation not too many years ago. Would the tax assessor have that in his records, like on a card or something?
That's a good question.
Because 28 by 39, I've driven by that little building my entire life. I don't know, 28 by 39. I mean, how big is this building? It's no bigger than this room. I can attest to that, but.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
And, it's worthwhile looking. That was one stone that I didn't overturn.
Okay, thank you.
So we had an initial discussion with the TPC working group that I meet with every Tuesday morning. And we came up, it was kind of a brainstorming session on potential options on this. And one of them included rebuilding the new structure in the exact same size and the exact same location as the 1904 building. Second one was construct a larger building moved further east and meets all existing setback requirements. Or three, property owner to request a variance. So later that day, the property owner did stop by town hall, and all this, although this was a work in progress, we shared, kind of where we were at. We pulled back the curtain, right? We got to share, and it's really about being transparent so that they understand the process. But we also indicated there may be some other options. So additional discussions continue to occur here at town hall for potential solutions, and a couple of other alternatives were identified. And one of them was the use of a permanent easement that would provide the property owner that would allow the slightly larger building, like I said, about 20%, to be constructed then within the setback distances to the road. So it is still moving it further from the road. And I've got some pictures here that I'll share. This was previously allowed and was a legally feasible option. Is it the best option? Well, maybe not, but it is an option that's there. It's legally defensible, and there's precedence for it. And we'll get into a little bit more on that. So we visited the site again on the 28th, or I'm sorry, it's 27th. And it had been staked off as to where the proposed building would go, as well as the roadway right of way. So if you go to page 4, you're going to see a picture I took on August 27th of the stake with the orange flag on it. That is the
wood
right
stake.
of way. Yep.
And east is to the right in the picture?
Yes.
Okay.
And so the other, I carry little flags in the back of my truck when I go on these site visits, just because when I take pictures, I want to be able to see what I'm looking at. So I place those flags where the stakes were at. So those are staked off. And then, so what this proposal does is it meets the setback from the property line, the neighboring property line. I measured it and I came up with 31 feet. The requirement is 30. So this complied. And at the bottom is my arts and crafts project, my hand drawn of the measurements that I took. So you can see the center line, dashed line, and then the edge of the road. And then where the right of way is, that's the dashed line further up the page. And I've got right of way 33 feet. And the building is, 10 feet. The corner of the building is 10 feet out of the right of way. And where I think that's important to note is that I think the original building may have been very close to the right of way, if not in it. So, there was the special town board meeting on August 27th. And that would be held actually on the 28th. That was when the notification was. And we talked about a potential approval of an easement for the proposed project. And then it was decided at that meeting that it would come back to the town planning commission for further discussion. And that's why I've prepared this as my version of Warren. It's almost as wrong as that book, I think. But unfortunately, not all challenges have easy solutions. There's a lot of issues that go into this. A building that was built 120 years ago, 68 years before zoning was officially in place. In the exact distances, I don't know how far it was from the center line. rebuilding the structure in the same spot to the same size, in my opinion, is just not a good solution, even though it allows for it. Moving something further away from the road is improving things. Is it all the way back to meeting the setback requirements? No.
It's less non-conforming.
It's less non-conforming, yes. And so, you know, and again, I'm basing my facts based on a limited review. You know, after the town board meeting, I chased Jim and Paul out into the parking lot to figure out what we needed to prepare for this, because we had the holiday in there, and so I appreciate Jim and Paul, you know, having that conversation with me. So there were mistakes, I think, made all around here. And it's one of those where, you know, was it perfect? No, it was caught late in the process. You know, time and a considerable amount of money was spent by the property owner, because he did have drawings prepared and was working with an architect and then had those revised. The property owner has emphasized to me more than once that he wants to do the right thing. And after reviewing this, you know, and going out and doing the field measurements, the property owner has shrunk the building, the proposed building, from what the original plan was, is conforming on the east side, but still has that issue with the setback from the road. So, you know, to all of the challenges that we faced, and it's not a perfect world, you know, allowing the recording of an easement to rebuild a structure that was, you know, built in 1904 to a slightly larger size, you know, is the best available solution given all the constraints and issues encountered along the way. And I think it's a good compromise in this situation. Now, you know, one of the things we always talk about is I want to make sure that we're treating everyone the same way, right? That we're approaching everything in a consistent manner. And we're right in the middle of the zoning rewrite there. We got a pile of them right here sitting on the table. And I think that is this the only situation around the island that falls in this? And the answer is probably no. I haven't driven around. I do drive around now and I look at things completely different than I did about 10 weeks ago. But I think in the zoning rewrite, which is a little bit outside of this, I think under a very limited and prescribed situations that we should allow some sort of option, you know, not just a free for all, but if you can describe why that it would be considered by TPC or you know, going through the variance process. So, but that's for tomorrow. That's another day. We're here today to talk about this one. And I think there were errors made along the way, errors that happen, that's part of the planning process. I've seen it for decades. But I think that you know, allowing an easement in this case, because it is improving distance from the road is an acceptable solution.
I think that building was in the setback as I drove by it for 20 years. And so he wants to move it out of the setback. And I, for one, after careful consideration and proper consultation, think that an easement is the best way for the town to mitigate any damages from prior mistakes.
I agree. You've done a wonderful job here.
Thanks.
So when we use an easement, you mentioned in your packet that this had been previously used, allowed by current zoning ordinance. Can you show me in the ordinance where it's written that we can use an easement for setbacks? Or maybe Glenn can
I think
shed light.
I think it's a letter from the town's attorney, Bryce Schoenberg, who looked into this during the Tim Eldridge.
Yeah, I recall something to that effect. So if we could get a copy of that letter.
Yes, we'd be happy to share.
Because I'm not aware of anything in the ordinance that would allow an easement to be used for calculating a setback.
Yeah, and we're happy to share that with you. I mean, this is one where we did run by Bryce. As far as he drafted a draft easement for us, and because this is a little bit unique, it is another tool in the toolbox. I mean, it's not gonna be the first one I'm gonna open the toolbox. This one, it's not.
Not
gonna
much
be
like
that way,
in
yeah.
Eldridge property, there were mistakes made within the town board, at the town board level, or not the town board level, but inside the town hall, let's say. And so, yeah, it is a different circumstance than most. I do appreciate the three options though on page 3 that I believe it must have been Paul and Jim laid out, because I would think the first thing to do is come in front of us, have the permit denied so that they can go get a variance for relaxation on the setbacks. To me, that's how it's always been done, and most of the time it seems to work. But whether or not in those cases the applicant was giving inaccurate information by the zoning administrator, in this case, maybe that's certainly, an extending circumstance that's not normally occurring.
Hey, Dave, how do you feel about this?
Well, I'm a little confused by some of this. I think just a question regarding when we say reconstruct, is there any part of this building that remains? I couldn't tell from the.
No, it would be construct.
So
It's
a new build on an existing lot.
Yes, yeah.
The question is,
It's a little history. It's my understanding that the gentleman wanted to demolish the building because it was beyond any kind of repair. So he came in and talked to zoning and, was misguided. And the building went down, after that. And then the town came up with, the correct zoning district. So
yeah.
Does that help at all?
It does, Paul. I think my question would be if the scenario I play out in my head is if the building was demolished and the lot was sold, what would we hold the new owner to a standard of within that zoning area?
Well, that a sale would change the parameters, but Wisconsin state law specifically says that if you have a building and it is dilapidated to the point of beyond repair, or it's damaged by a flood or whatever, that burns down, whatever the circumstances. But one of the circumstances is dilapidation beyond repair. You can tear it down and rebuild on the same footprint. That's state law.
Got it. And who makes that judgment that it's dilapidated to the point of non-repair?
Well, I mean, in this case, I think the homeowner did, but I can tell you after driving past that building for 20 years, I didn't even have to get out of my vehicle to say that the thing was dilapidated beyond repair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
don't doubt that. And your clarification on the law is helpful. Thank you. Yeah. So you asked me what I think about it. It sounds like there's precedent around the reconstruction in the same footprint. That I think that's the part where I lean on right now. With an easement, I think you guys and Charlie would know better around process around that, but it seems like there's a precedent about the ability to rebuild in the same shape and dimension to the existing footprint. But I understand to Rich's point that he makes of like that solution is still with challenges regarding setback as prescribed. So I think I would reserve anything to a little more research and in diving into this a little bit, maybe even a site visit to see.
Well, time is of the essence with this, and we're going to be voting on it tonight.
Okay.
There is a picture on the top of page 4 that shows it as of August 27th, that shows kind of, I was standing on the road there when I took that. And that wood stake with the orange flag on it, that's the end of the right of way. And then the orange flags that are easily seen are the two corner points of the building closest to us.
Yep. So maybe, thank you for that. I can see that in the picture here. So maybe if we could just sort of the form and shape of a motion that we would be voting for, are we taking a pick of what we're recommending? I guess I'm not sure of what we would be voting on specifically right now.
We would vote to approve this building permit with the condition that the town grant an easement.
Oh, it's the easement.
So it's the easement issue that
That's the resolution that's on the table.
right.
Got it.
And the town, according to the town's attorney, has the right to issue an easement on town property. Town right away.
Yeah.
This is a road right
Yeah,
away issue.
Sure. I understand that.
And the building's getting moved out of the right of way back farther. So there's a huge improvement. Now he is building the building 20% bigger than the current footprint. But, that's the give and take with having the thing come out of the right of way.
Yeah. Did Rich just say that he was backing off that a bit in terms of,
It was more and now it's down to 20%. So.
Got it. Okay. I think I understand now.
Anybody have any questions? Jim?
You said that the easement by the town for this property has already been approved by the attorney?
By the attorney, that's my understanding. That
It's been written, it was shared with us for comments. We had no comments on it. So I believe he would have given it to us in a format that was allowable.
That he will give?
That he did.
That he-
So yeah, the attorney gave us an easement and asked us for comments on it. And we had no comments on it. We had provided some of the information on numbers, and 31 feet was the number that was used in it. When we went back with no comment. So the easement is ready to go. Been drafted by Bryce.
Well, I think the whole situation is an improvement for the town, that the road is going to be further away from this building. It's just an improvement. So I'm thinking an easement, it probably will set precedent, but it's an improvement to the property.
Well, I saw a picture of what he's proposing to build, and it's just totally cute compared to what was sitting there before.
Yeah.
Well, right now, under 9.2B of the non-conforming structure, it says in addition to a non-conforming structure is allowed provided the addition complies with the requirements of this ordinance, including dimensional requirements. The addition shall not exceed 50% of the existing building footprint, including overhangs, eaves, and other impervious surfaces. Total square footage of building proposed addition shall not exceed 2,000 square feet. But it's at 50%. And again, it gets back to what was the original dimensions. Do we know that for sure? I don't believe it's 28 by 39. I'm trying to envision the size of 28 by 39 building. Our shop built, we have a pole barn behind our shop that's 30 by 30. There is no way that little building was 30 by 30.
Charlie, what did you just reference?
I referenced section 9.2B underneath non-conforming structures. I guess I agree with what you guys are saying, but my hang up is on the original size of that building.
Thank you, Evan.
And it's no disrespect to the Grutzners, but I find it hard to believe that the old building was 28 by 39. That's a big building. I don't think it's a 30 by 40 building.
Yeah, it did have 2 bedrooms, a bathroom.
28 by 39, just a hair under 30 by 40.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have a hard, personally, I have a hard time believing.
Yeah, I mean, it was hand drawn for me, but it was something like where the bedrooms
Yeah,
were
bedroom was
missing.
in the bath. I've been in
Yeah,
that building
and-
before.
And
And the garage was enough to get a one-car vehicle in there with about 3 feet on either side. How wide's the car? 10 feet, 3 feet, 16 feet wide, maybe 18.
okay, okay.
I'm just saying,
But I'm
guys,
thinking
that's,
length, right? Length of a car is what, probably 16 feet?
you gotta remember 1902, how long was a car?
Well, okay.
Give me that.
Fair enough. Well, I just, so the new proposed structure is 1,350 square feet. So I'm just trying to, in my mind, I mean, we could do the math.
I want to
At
believe the
50%.
applicant, but it's like trust, but verify.
Yeah,
That's why,
and
I'm sorry, but.
I'm with you 100%. That's why I went back through the aerial photos back from the 1930s.
They had aerial photos in 1930?
They did.
Did they black and white?
Yes, yeah. So on the Wisconsin Historical.
Stereoscope?
Well, I tried finding one because I wanted to do that, to number one, confirm where it was at, and number two, confirm the size. And I looked at probably 5 or 6 aerial photos from the 30s, 50s, 60s, and unfortunately, they were all like this, taken full leaf on. So you just couldn't see it.
When did they start doing infrared?
That's a good question. That was not on there. That was not on
That's
there.
for another. That's my only hang up on this thing is that original dimension, the 28 by 39. I don't know.
Okay, so
That's why I'm asking if there was any source that we could find the original footprint of that building.
Yeah, so the ordinance
Either
allows for
assessor.
50%, right? Larger than.
Once we find out what the original size was.
Okay, but maybe we can back it to it, right? Because we knew the new building is 1,350 square feet, right? So to get there, your building would have to be, you would what, divide that by 4? Yeah, right. Ish, yeah. So 900, so. That would be 30 by 30. Okay, we know it wasn't square, but
No. Yeah, it was
to
right.
have 2 bedrooms, I mean, the bedroom minimum of 10, right?
Maybe 10.
Yeah, and so this would only be 20 to get there. I mean, it was 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. I mean, to me, I wanted to do the same thing. I'm sitting here in the office, 6 o'clock Friday night, going through Wisconsin Historical Society aerial photos because I wanted to support that.
We all have hobbies.
Yes. But so to me, I can't say that with a fact, but I think with reasonable certainty that it was 900 square feet. I feel comfortable with that. That it still falls within that.
Well, it's certainly under 2,000 square feet, but yeah, I don't know. I'd like a little more information on the original size. That's all. That's my hang up.
I think Evan Junior knocked it down, so.
Well, I know, but again, there should be a record somewhere in the assessor, if you could talk to the assessor or the previous assessor, find out if there's cards or something. Because how does an assessor get to an assessment? I'm sure they do some measurement on buildings and structures,
Yeah,
correct?
but when they get to the point where there's nothing there, they don't even chalk it up as worth anything.
Well, that's, I guess, up to the assessor though to make that determination. I'm not going to get into the mind of the assessor what they do and what they don't do. I'm just asking if there was some record of the original dimensions.
Yeah, I didn't look through that source.
Okay. Fair enough. So we don't have it.
No.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'd like to entertain a motion to approve this permit with the concept of a easement from the town.
Did you make a motion?
No, I'd like that entertained. Anybody thinking that?
I'd be fine with it if within the motion, there would be verification of the original dimensions of the structure. If that's included in the motion, I could go along with that, because that's my hangup.
And if we were to call the assessor and if they had any information, yes, but what if they don't have any information?
Hopefully they have information. Glass is half full, glass is half empty. I just think it's worth for a while for verification. In a case like this, because we're going upon the applicants, what they recall it as being, maybe, I don't know. You'd think they have a pretty good idea what the size was. I find it hard to believe it was 28 by 39, that's all, guys. That's a big footprint.
Well, it's kind of been suggested that it was at least 900.
Well, there again, I mean, we're just assuming, surmising.
The town made some mistakes. Let's just,
Yeah, absolutely. I don't deny that.
let's just give them the easement and move on. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this, building permit, subject to the town giving this applicant an easement. Do I have a second? Well, in seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dave, you look like you're thinking.
Well, I am thinking. I hope that didn't look like a blank stare. I think part of this is just, I hear Charlie's point about supporting the decision with some more fact-based sort of evidence of what was there. And if there's existing language that treats this, I'm leaning towards understanding what that is and making sure that we're evaluating as much of the sort of the fact-based things that we can. That's what I'm thinking about. I think the other part of this was I think longer term, and again, I don't want to get too far from the topic here, Paul, but I think longer term, I think it's probably on this group to understand, and maybe this is clearly written out, of what an impaired structure actually is as people rebuild these types of things. And so because because it triggers a number of sort of processes around what that could be. Or guidelines of what that could be. So that's where I am right now. I think I'd like to know more. I have not voted in favor because I would prefer to understand more, and I understand that that's why we're putting it to a vote, and that's what I've been thinking about.
Just, can I interject for a second? We have a meeting next Wednesday as well. Is it possible to get some answers to these questions and have this on again in another week? Is that going to be so detrimental to wait 1 week at this point? Because they could have started this in May or June too of this year.
Since Evan Jr. knocked this thing down.
Well, maybe he took some measures.
What if we call him and
That's fine.
what if he doesn't know, but he takes a stab at it? Okay, so,
Sure.
well, I think it's X by X. Yeah.
Well, and maybe it would, and within a week's time, maybe Rich can reach out to the assessor and just ask him, do you have such a thing as cards on a property?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not an assessor. I have no idea, but that would seem like another logical place to get some information from him.
Yeah.
Would it not? We're just asking for one LT number, one parcel.
Yeah. Rich, the other thing is if there was ever surveyed or resurveyed at any point, that if there's any record of that anywhere, I don't know, but if there was anything done along the way, it might have been including other drawings potentially, so.
Yeah, it would have to be a certified survey. A certified survey would list.
That would list it.
Yeah, I guess that's right, and I guess we'd have access pretty readily, that's been pursued, but
I want to hear what Jim thinks about this.
I think we have a motion on the table that's been seconded. You called for a vote.
For discussion.
You called for discussion. There was a little bit, and you
Oh,
called for a vote.
Yeah, you
okay.
There's been 2 ayes, and that's.
Okay, motion fails.
Okay,
I guess as long as we're on this subject, I would like to state that I believe that the property owner has 3 options.
Mm.
And I think any of those 3 can be done without any easement by the town, and I prefer that.
Okay. At this time, we'll research and we'll talk about it again.
And put it on our next agenda for
We'll,
next one.
we'll add it to the agenda for September 10th.
Yeah.
I will reach out to Evan. I'll reach out to see if there's been a recent certified survey. And I will reach out to see if, from an assessor standpoint.
Rich, can you contact the property owner, see if they have any pictures of that building?
That's another,
Give us
Yes,
an
absolutely.
idea on the size.
that'd be helpful too.
Yep.
Okay, moving on, new business will be deferred to September 10th. Future agenda items.
under the meeting today, discussion.
Yep. Public hearing. $10:45 Sunny Slope.
Mhm.
Maybe look at our bylaws.
Yes, bylaws.
Give you any more work, Rich, but could you give us a copy of the attorney's letter in regards to easement? Dealt with the Tim Eldridge property on South Road about a year ago.
Yes.
Or less than a year ago.
Yeah, the last easement that they granted was due to a building that was already constructed or in the process of being constructed. And they realized that it didn't meet the setbacks. So I think this is a little different.
That was an easement with a neighbor, not with the town.
Exactly, and that too.
Yeah. And I don't know if that matters or not, but it might. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on.
I think it matters to us that, if 2 property owners want to grant an easement to each other, it's a little bit different than the town,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
has more land that is actually owned by the river.
I'm more concerned that there were mistakes made in the past that makes the town culpable. And this is something that corrects that. While not ideal, it corrects it and we move on. Hopefully we can do that on September 10th.
Anything else for a future agenda?
Rich has got an agenda that was started, so,
Yes.
4:30.
Yes.
Yep, next scheduled meeting, September 10th at 4:30. And we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.